So if you open the latest build up in Android Studio, you'll get something that looks like this. Now, if you go to App, Assets, Config, config.txt, and it'll come up with this thing with a whole load of numbers. Um, so every number has like a word describing what it is, and then the value itself. So here, cell min split time and cell max split time, and so these are in milliseconds. And this is the amount of a cell will split some random amount of time between the min and the max. So right now it's between 50 and 500, and now I can set it to between 500 and 5,000 milliseconds. So half a second and a second. The chance of mutation, now these are percentages. So when a cell splits, right now has a 0% chance of mutation. You can set that to 1. Chance of cancer, which is when a mutated cell becomes a cancer cell. Let's set that to, 10%, 10%. Cancer death chance, how likely a cancer cell is to die, 10%. And then there are a few other values which are not immediately obvious what they do, but I'll explain them in a sec. Anyway, so you modify this file however you want, and then you hit build, build and run. Or you can also hit Control R, and I'll just launch the emulator. And this box will come up down here, and the score is going to be printed out in here. So I can show you that in a sec as well. Right now there isn't a score value on screen, it's only being printed. My screen resolution is too big, so, and I'm only recording in 1080p, so you can't quite see the full emulator, which is a bit annoying, but it's not the worst. Come on. Really takes its time. I should have launched the emulator earlier. Oh well. So yeah, this is pretty much the simulation as you've seen it before. There's a chance of normal cells becoming mutated and mutated cells becoming cancerous, and you can zoom in and out, and you can see on the grid the radius of the blood vessel. Anyway, let's change some numbers and see how they affect things. So I'll put these back to what I had them before. So cell min and max split time are between 50 and 500. And this basically speeds up the simulation. So if you want to see how the effect of certain rules will, or yeah, how having the certain numbers in there will affect the game over the long run, rather than running the game for ages, you can just speed up the simulation by changing these two numbers here. And so I've done that quite a lot for trying to find some numbers that produce stable results. Let's change the blood vessel range to 5, a bit bigger. Okay, I'll explain some of these other numbers now as well. So now we've got the child death chance increase here. So this when a cell is outside the range of a blood vessel, its death chance will be based on its parent death chance plus the child death chance increase. So let's say its parent had a 10% death chance of its parent had a 10% chance of dying, the child would have a 15% chance of dying. And now you've also got the parent death chance increase. So whenever a parent has a child, its death chance will change by whatever number this is. So let's set that to 5, and let's set the child death chance increase to 10. So now if you have a cell with a 50% death chance and it has a child, the child will have a 60% death chance and the parent will now have a 55% death chance. So we've also got the adjacent blood vessel death chance. BV is blood vessel. So when a cell is adjacent to a blood vessel, it will have the adjacent blood vessel death chance. And when it's there's the far BV death chance. So when a cell is at the maximum range of a blood vessel, it will have this. And whenever it's in between being adjacent to the blood vessel and being at the maximum range, it it will have some value in between these two values. Blood vessel range, how many hexes it spreads out, it's pretty self-explanatory. There are a few other things in here. So here we have the score values. This is like how much score you get for doing different things, for spawning a healthy cell, a mutated cell, a cancer cell, blood vessel, stem cell, and then for when they die. And I'll no doubt be adding to these values as the game progresses. I may even split them into multiple files, so we might end up having a file that was all the score values just in one file. But anyway, let's run the simulation with these numbers. So it should be sped up, and we'll see what that does. Oh, so everything's happened really quickly there. And instantly there's cancer everywhere. So that's what happens when we speed up the simulation with these rules. Let's try set the chance of cancer to 0, chance of mutation to 1%. Run the simulation again. And something like this. It's going pretty fast. We're getting a little bit of mutation. And we're getting no cancer because we set the chance of cancer to 0. Anyway, you get the idea. Get the latest build, play with the numbers, see what happens. Have fun.